This is the Peaprit 500GB hard drive. It's a plug-and-play Linux-based system designed especially for retro gaming. Today we're going to find out what's inside, what kind of game systems it supports, and see how well it's optimized for smooth gameplay. I ordered this product directly from Peaprit's official store on Aliexpress. The package is quite simple. Inside the box, we've got the HDD enclosure itself, a USB Type-C cable, and a small user manual. Nothing fancy, just clean and minimal. Exactly what you'd expect from a plug-and-play retro game drive. Since this drive runs on Batocera, an open-source, Linux-based operating system made for retro gaming, the setup is a bit different from Windows-based drives. To use it, simply plug the hard drive into a USB port on your PC. In my case, I'm using a 7-port USB hub from Acasis right on my desk, so it's super convenient. Next, open your BIOS or boot menu and select the Peaprit drive as the boot device. Once your system restarts, you'll boot straight into Batocera, and you can start playing right away. No installation, no setup, just pure plug-and-play gaming. According to the official product page, this drive comes with around 5,000 3D games and over 14,000 classic titles across more than 30 different emulators. Let's take a look and see if those numbers are actually true. So after checking it out myself, I noticed that most of the huge game count actually comes from the lighter systems, like GBA with around 1,135 games, SEGA about 946, and SNES roughly 2,000. But when it comes to the heavier systems like PSVITA, PS3, or Nintendo Switch, there aren't that many games included. For example, the Switch only has around 7 games, the PS Vita has 9, and the 3DS has about 11, which totally makes sense since this drive is only 500 gigabytes. There's just not enough room for all those big 3D titles. Before testing the games, I'm going to connect my PS5 DualSense controller. The good news is Batocera has excellent Bluetooth support. Pairing is super quick and easy. All you need to do is turn on Bluetooth mode on your PS5 controller, then search for devices inside Batocera. Just make sure your PC has a Bluetooth receiver and you'll be ready to go in seconds. First, I'm going to try out the SEGA system, my personal favorite. Let's start with Alien Soldier. The game loads really fast and runs super smooth. All the controller buttons are automatically mapped, so I can jump straight into the action without any setup. It just works perfectly. Next, let's move on to the PlayStation 1 system, starting with Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. All the buttons are perfectly mapped, everything feels smooth and responsive. There's also a really nice PS1 style overlay on screen. It not only looks great, but also keeps the aspect ratio just right for that authentic PlayStation experience.
Hi, Spyro.
Get ready, fighters! Triumph or die!
Next up, let's try the PlayStation 2 system with the legendary God of War. I've adjusted the emulator settings to run it at 4K resolution, and wow, it looks amazing. Everything runs super smooth, and since I'm using a PS5 DualSense controller, all the buttons are perfectly mapped for the PS2 layout right out of the box.
Of course, when the system can handle heavy platforms like PS1 and PS2 smoothly, running GBA games is absolutely no problem at all. However, here's one small tip. If you're using a 4K monitor like I am, make sure to set your resolution back to full HD. Otherwise, the GBA screen might appear really tiny in the middle of your display. Once you switch it, everything looks perfect again. Crisp, colorful, and super nostalgic.
Now, let's move on to the Nintendo Switch system. Since the storage capacity of this drive is a bit limited, I noticed there are only 7 Switch games pre-installed. Let's try out 3 of them: Mario Kart 8, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. All of these games run surprisingly smooth. No lag, no stutter, even at 4K resolution. That's honestly pretty impressive for a plug-and-play hard drive setup like this.
One system that I really love and I'm glad to see included here is the PSVITA. Because the games are quite large, there are only 9 titles pre-installed on this drive. Let's try out Age of Zombies and Mortal Kombat at 4K resolution. Age of Zombies runs perfectly smooth, no issues at all. However, with Mortal Kombat, I did notice a few visual glitches when performing multiple actions at the same time. Still, it's pretty cool that PS Vita games are playable right from this plug-and-play setup.
Round 2, fight!
The SEGA Saturn system also runs smoothly. No lag, no frame drops, and the games load really fast. It's great to see this classic console working so well here. The Nintendo DS system is also well optimized here, featuring a proper dual-screen setup. I tested it with Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Skies, and it runs smoothly. You'll need to use the R2 and L2 buttons on your controller to switch between the 2 screens. Personally though, I'm not a big fan of playing DS games on a PC emulator. If you really love the DS experience, I'd say it's best enjoyed on the original handheld itself. I also tried a ported game, Mr. Boom, which is basically a Bomberman clone made for the RetroArch platform. And yeah, it runs perfectly fine.
For Super Nintendo, I'm trying out Boogerman, a pick-and-flick adventure, and Contra 3, The Alien Wars. Both games run super smooth, and I just love the SNES overlay. It really gives that classic vibe, like I'm back playing on my old Super Nintendo console again. Pure nostalgia.
And finally, we've got a classic 3D system, the Nintendo 64. I'm testing it with Banjo-Kazooie, one of the legends from that era. I haven't figured out how to tweak the settings for 4K resolution yet, so on my LG 4K monitor, the image looks a bit pixelated and stretched. So I know this is an old hard drive, it's clearly not brand new. Let's take a quick look at its health and see how well it's holding up. According to Crystal Disk Info, this drive was manufactured in 2012 with about 1,055 power on counts and around 2,217 hours of usage.
The health status is still good, no bad sectors, no read errors, and the temperature sits at a comfortable 30 degrees Celsius. Overall, pretty decent for a budget drive that already comes preloaded with tons of retro games.
If you want to add your favorite games to the drive, it's super easy. Just plug the drive into your computer, open the ROMs folder, and choose the console system you want. Then copy your downloaded ROM files into the corresponding folder. When you boot back into Batocera, the system will automatically detect the new games. Quick and simple. So overall, for under $30, I'd say this is a really solid option, especially for people who just want to plug in and play without spending time installing or tweaking anything. Running on a Linux-based system instead of Windows also makes it super lightweight, so it performs smoothly even on lower-end PCs. I've been using my PS5 DualSense controller over Bluetooth, and it connects effortlessly. All the buttons are perfectly mapped right out of the box. Of course, if you plan to play heavier titles like Nintendo Switch, PS2, or PS3 games in 4K resolution like I did, you'll definitely need a decent system to keep things running smoothly. But for the price, convenience, and performance, this Peaprit 500GB drive is honestly a great pick for any retro gaming fan.
So yeah, that's my real experience with this Batocera plug-and-play hard drive. If you want to grab one for yourself, just use the link in the description to get a little discount. Thank you for watching.